Hi my friends, today we're going to do a science experiment on the power of pink. Technically this is magenta, but I've been painting Stormcast a lot lately, since I've finally gotten to be able to play AOS proper. And while I really love my default paint scheme for Stormcast Eternals, I am a sucker for experimentation. I am especially a sucker for the Molten Paint effect that I've done before. I use it all the time. I've been wanting to do a full paint up of a unit in this scheme, so come along with me as we do some science experiments and learn about the power of pink in this episode of Paint Differently. My starting point for this project was the Stormcast Praetors from Dominion, because I have 2 boxes of Dominion, which was the Age of Sigmar 3rd edition launch box that they way overprinted, and so you can get it for super cheap, or at least you could back when I got it. And Praetors are a perfect combination for a science experiment because they are gorgeous models with absolutely garbage rules. I will also note that they're horrible to build too. Just a great start all around. So the perfect place for a science experiment. I primed them white, which was ultimately a mistake, not in terms of like color or anything like that, but more just the fact that white primer is awful and atrocious and I hate it and it's the worst thing that's ever been invented. But after priming them white, we arrive at the power of pink. A long while ago, I watched a Goobertown Hobbies video where he painted up some Slaves to Darkness from the Start Collecting box, and he used pink primer with a white zenithal through the airbrush. And then over top all of that, he sprayed yellow. He talked about how it gives really smooth coverage and that the pink in the shadows over with the yellow over top it creates this nice smooth gradient where it goes from pretty pure yellow at its brightest highlights, over the white, and then the yellow over the pink kind of creates this nice orange color. Really interesting. I'll link the video below. Since then I've wanted to try something like this, but I was wondering what it would look like if you used the pink in the highlights rather than in the shadows, and you used white in the shadows rather than pink. This would match my Molten effect that I've done before, where the brightest part of the model is actually in the shadows, in the recesses, where the lava is supposed to be hottest, and that the darkest part of the model is the highlights, the higher parts of the model, where the lava has cooled as it's been exposed to air, or whatever. I'm not a geologist or anything. So to start after my white primer stage, I dry brushed some magenta pink all over the models. I probably laid it on a little bit too thick in a lot of places, but ultimately I don't think it matters that much. While the pink was drying, I did one model up with a contrast style paint for the yellow rather than through my airbrush. This is how that ended up looking, which was pretty nice. Then with my airbrush, I sprayed some yellow over top all of the other models. When all of that was done, I set to work completing the effect by dry brushing the models. To complete the Molten effect, we dry brush first with orange, then with a bright red, then with a nice dark burnt red, and then with black, getting a little bit lighter with our dry brushing every time we change colors. this is what we arrived at. A neat look so far, honestly, and pink truly had a powerful effect in the overall look. If you're planning on doing this kind of yellow scheme in a more traditional sense, I would definitely recommend having pink in your shadows and white in your highlights, and then doing it all over with yellow. The Praetors specifically really suck to dry brush when they're assembled because the weapons are like really in an awkward spot right over the chest, so you can't quite get at all of the details how you would like. But in general, I think that this is a pretty good execution of the scheme and a pretty cool manifestation of the scheme. It would probably just be better on some better models, to be honest. Speaking of, you've probably noticed that I've been a little bit negative at times about this whole ordeal. In truth, many times throughout this painting and this experiment, I was feeling pretty let down and pretty frustrated at times. But I think there's a lesson in there, though. These models were intended as experiments, and I really felt the best about this whole project when I reminded myself that I was just doing experiments, that I would allow myself to fail, and that it's okay to not succeed wholly on what I was trying to do, because the whole point of the experiment is to learn and to try new things and to take that knowledge into models that I, quite frankly, care more about. When I would reaffirm myself, when I would try new things and keep experimenting and branching out, I would feel better about the whole project, and I'd enjoy the experience more. Even if that means that I had to paint over the cloaks like 3 times because I wasn't quite satisfied with how they were looking. But that's neither here nor there. We're doing experiments and we're trying new things. It's okay to fail. To round out the rest of the scheme, I gave the cloaks a cool metallic look, and then I did a lot of like different blues in the shadows. I wanted to contrast the cloaks in a nice, cool, shiny way with the kind of bright, warm energy of the main bodies. The weapons followed suit, and I pretty much just did the exact same thing that I do with like power weapons for science fiction models, for 40K models. I think it looks alright. You don't normally do that kind of power weapon look for fantasy models, but yeah, I wanted to give it a shot. Why not, right? I don't usually make videos about things that are works in progress and aren't wholly completed, but my schedule's been really all over the place, and this was just a really cool experiment, and I learned a lot of lessons through it that I just kind of wanted to share. Sorry about my inconsistent schedule and uploads. The new year has gone off to a really weird and busy start, but now that it's rolling, I'm trying to refocus and reevaluate things. Thanks for tuning in and watching this video. It means a lot to me, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it's encouraged you to paint differently, and to do experiments in your models more. Until then, I'm Gino the Painting Acolyte, and I'll see you next time. Take care, and bye-bye.